I went to the almighty Googles and simply typed in Dungeons and Dragons. GameMasters here, and what followed, of course, was a list of links to various sites, but also were several questions that were commonly typed into Google about Dungeons and Dragons, and of course, I kind of felt compelled to answer. These are the top 10 most commonly asked questions about Dungeons and Dragons to Google, but with my answers, not Google's. What is the concept of Dungeons and Dragons? Okay, so D&D is all about using one's imagination. It's about leaving our real world behind for a bit in an attempt to become someone else. I liken it to going to see a movie. We leave our unpaid bills behind, our issues at work, the drama with the partner or spouse, all of that is left behind, and we step into a different world when we watch a movie. D&D is similar in that we can escape reality for a bit. Let loose and become a ranger or warrior or a mage and swing swords and sling spells, defeat monsters, discover loot, and perhaps, if we're lucky, save the world from impending doom. It's also about working together with a team of people, so really the concept is playing a game and having fun. What is D&D for beginners? Okay, let's pretend you're a farmer. Your main crop is onions. Describe what you would normally do on any given day. Get up, perhaps drink some coffee, go out to the field, pull some weeds, maybe chase off a rabbit or groundhog. Those are some pretty pesky critters, right? They'll run about 10 feet away, then stop and stare at you. So to see how effective your scare tactic is, you'll roll a 20, a 20-sided die, to intimidate the creature, as there is usually an element of chance. You roll low, but that rabbit just continues to stare at you. You'll later collect up some onions and take them to the town to trade for some coffee beans. But you want to charm the coffee vendor up, so you roll that d20 again. This time you roll a 20, the best you can roll. The coffee vendor is so impressed with the size of your onions that you brought that he just gives you twice the amount of coffee beans you originally agreed to. Oh, happy day. And this is essentially what D&D is. Only instead of cropping onions and chasing rabbits and bartering for coffee, you are instead exploring dungeons and castles and hunting monsters and searching for treasure. Is D&D hard to get into? No, 100% not. In fact, it's beyond easy. If you're watching this video, guess what? You've already taken your first step into a larger world. Getting into Dungeons and Dragons is as simple as walking into any game store and striking up a conversation. Don't let the nerdy gamers fool you. We're a shy bunch and can sometimes be hesitant of strangers to the hobby. But once you crack that door open just a little, we won't shut up with advice. If you don't have a game store close by, YouTube is going to be your best friend. In fact, I'll link towards the end of this video my extensive playlist that goes over hours of basic D&D content. And while I do have hours upon hours of content, most of it's done in short little 5-minute bites, so you'll be neck deep in D&D in no time. Can you play D&D alone? Yeah, you can, but like a few other activities, it's usually more fun when you have at least one other person to play with, or a group. But seriously, there's not too many official Dungeons & Dragons books or adventures that are set up for 100% solo play. Most are for at least one dungeon master and one player, but there are other role-playing games out there that do cater to just that one person. And I'll leave a link down in the description as to some of those books that you can pick up if you want to play with yourself. What? Oh, play by yourself. Small difference there, I guess. Now, before I jump into more questions, I first need to thank these inquisitive supporters. Their contributions to this channel have made it so that I don't need to take on sponsored ad for this video, and I cannot thank them enough. If you would like to contribute by becoming a Patreon or YouTube member, I'll leave a link down in the description. You'll have my utmost of gratitude, and of course, I'll add your name to this ever-growing list of supporters. Is D&D hard to learn? No. Quite literally, everything you need to run Dungeons & Dragons can be found in the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Player's Handbook, and the Monster Manual. Those are considered to be the 3 core books. Everything else is just what they call, gravy on top, icing on the side? No, wait. Gravy on the side, icing on top. Yeah, that's extra. And if you're savvy enough, you can find online what is known as the SRD, or the Systems Reference Document, which is more or less the rules. And it's all free online, but it lacks the fun artwork and some of the side notes found in the books. Oh, and you'll want some role-playing dice, the D4s, D6s, D20s, D12s, D8s, etc. But overall, learning to play, it's not difficult in any way. Am I too old to start playing D&D? Well, how old are you? I mean, hold that thought. It doesn't matter if you're 5 or if you're 105. As long as you have an imagination, you are never too old to play Dungeons & Dragons. You may have some physical limitations. For example, my fingers, the manual dexterity in them started to go about a year ago, and I really, for the life of me, cannot pick up a D4 anymore. Arthritis may hinder some of you in rolling dice, but there are electronic dice out there where all you have to do is push a button and it displays the number up on the screen itself. No one is ever too old to play D&D. You just have to you have to have the want and the desire to play. Why is Dungeons & Dragons popular? Honestly, I'd have to attribute this back to its early days where we were ridiculed and teased for playing it, back when the media and churches tried to ban it as a gateway to Satan worship. In essence, if you are told not to do something, you're likely going to dig in like a tick and do it anyways, right? Combine that underground play and advance it over the years when people finally saw that no rift opened to the 9 hells and no actual demons spewed forth, then others started to check it out. Non-nerds started to see what the game was all about. Combine that with the generation that started out playing way back when they started having kids and teaching them how to play. Then combine that with the same players getting into shows like Stranger Things, which ultimately opened the door to even more players, and live play shows like Critical Role that drew in another audience demographic. It became a snowball effect, and D&D has simply become cemented into popular culture. What type of person plays Dungeons & Dragons? All types. I mean, literally, all types, across pretty much all continents, from nerds to jocks, from young to old, from professional bankers to unemployed degenerates. There is simply no type of person out there that doesn't already play. D&D has had such a mass appeal that it's no longer a hidden game played in the parents' basement. Now it's a game played by millions at all hours of the day and night. It's even played in some schools and colleges that have officially school-sponsored D&D clubs. Yep, I mean, pretty much any type of person can be found playing Dungeons & Dragons. Is Dungeons & Dragons actually fun? Well, barring the fact that the term fun is subjective and not objective, so this will be uniquely my own opinion, yes, D&D is actually fun. It gives me a chance to escape the mental stresses of my day for a short amount of period anyway while I play, and dive into a fantasy world where anything is possible. And I'm not just specifically referring to Dungeons & Dragons here. You could be playing Numenaria, Cyberpunk, Kids on Bikes, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the role-playing game, or any other number of role-playing games out there. If it brings you joy, then yes, it's actually fun. Why do adults play Dungeons & Dragons? Well, while I can't speak to every adult out there, as I've mentioned previously, I personally play it to escape my everyday pressures. Unpaid bills, work drama, nightly news, you name it. The waking real world is full of crap that we can easily get down in and watching. And just absorbing it. And it's just too much for some people. For me, it's simply therapeutic to play. But this begs the question for me. Why do you choose to play Dungeons & Dragons, or any role-playing game for that matter? If you don't play, what prompted you to watch this video? Moreover, what enticed you to watch up to this point? Feel free to throw an answer down in the comments. Remember too that I've got links in the description as to where you can find some solo play D&D style games, and if you'd like to join our growing Discord community of gamers, I've got an invite link listed for that too. If you want to see that massive D&D playlist I spoke about earlier, you can find that here. Oh, and feel free to share with me any other D&D questions that you might have. Just toss them down in the comments, and until next our paths cross, may you grow some wicked onions.